if your website isn't converting traffic, if your product photography isn't there, ads are just going to show you real quick and really fast in an expensive way that you're not ready for it.
Welcome to Duo On Air, where we help you get seen, remembered, and wildly obsessed over by your audience. We're your hosts, Abby
and Courtney, a pair of ex-agency besties who ditched the cubicles, the Minneapolis skyways, and the corporate jargon for work that matters, with people who inspire us every day. Today, we're a women-powered marketing agency serving brands worldwide, bringing those big agency results without the corporate price tag.
Around here, it's all about what actually grows your business: branding, SEO, websites, and navigating the real-life ups and downs of building a dream while raising tiny humans. We're moms, wives, and best friend business partners in the trenches with you, making the hard stuff feel easy and a whole lot more fun.
So pour a fresh cup, get comfy, because you're exactly where you need to be.
Let's duo this. Paid ads. Yes, your favorite organic duo is going to be bringing you inside the paid world, but with an expert, of course. We are joined by Jenny, the founder of Ads Uncorked, a paid advertising agency that helps product-based businesses grow through strategic ad campaigns across platforms like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Google. And in this episode, we're going to get into when a business is actually ready to start ads, why so many Instagram and Facebook ads fail, the difference between boosting posts and running a real ad strategy, should you even boost a post, and how product businesses can use ads to grow in a way that actually makes sense. Because the truth is, ads can be incredibly powerful after an organic strategy is in place, of course, and we talk about that at the beginning. Jenny and her team have helped their clients grow to 6- and 7-figure numbers, and she has a whole story about that at the end, and you're not going to want to miss it. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Hi, Jenny. Thank you so much for being on the Duo On Air podcast.
Thanks so much for having me. Really excited to chat today.
I know. I'm so excited. We've met years ago at a conference and in Kentucky, right? I think that's the first time we met.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, that was just a lot of fun. And also it's just like so fun to connect with other people who do things that are just on the totally opposite spectrum of marketing, but still so incredibly valuable. So I'm so excited. I think everyone is going to love this episode because I get this question all the time of like, okay, so you don't do paid, you don't run paid, like you do organic only. So do you not like paid? And I'm like, no, that's not that's not true. I just think organic comes first, paid comes second. Like that's how we always position it. So I'm so excited to talk about what comes second today. Yeah. So, but anyways, why don't you tell us a little bit about you and Ads Uncorked and how you kind of got started?
Yeah, absolutely. So, hello, I'm in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I've got 3 little kiddos, ages 7, 5, and 1. And my husband is also an entrepreneur. So we are kind of that crazy entrepreneur couple that always has way too many fires going at a time, but we absolutely love it. And we love to what being, a business owner provides us lifestyle-wise, that we do a lot of travel as a family. In fact, we spent 100 nights in a camper a couple of years ago. That was a dream that we had. Traveling cross country and being able to run our businesses on the road was really a dream come true for us. So, we're those crazy serial entrepreneurs. But yeah, I've got a team behind me here. We've got a team of 6 that help run ads for all of our clients. So we run ads for specifically product-based businesses. Most of them are in Shopify, and our specialty really is in growing their stores to multi-6 and multi-7 figures. Every year through Facebook, Instagram, Google, and TikTok ads.
Awesome. I love it. Yeah. I was reading a little bit about your RV and like your story on your About page that you had talked about, which is so fun. Yeah. And also we're very close, which I always forget that I'm in Minnesota, but right. Minnesota, Wisconsin, we're neighbors. So
right.
I love it. So how did you get into ads? What did you do? Was it something that you were just like, oh, I am very passionate about it, or were you doing it previously before you started Ads Uncorked?
Yeah, so in my previous life, I was a math teacher. I taught middle school math, and I did that for a couple years. I loved it, but due to some unforeseen medical condition, I had to actually step back from teaching, and that left me really unsure what I was going to do with my life, because I thought I was going to be a teacher forever, and then I realized that I wasn't going to be able to anymore. So my husband, we had just gotten married, we just bought our house, and then I had to leave my job. And I'm like, well, what now? And he's like, well, if you could do anything, what would you do? And I'm like, well, everybody in my family's an entrepreneur, so like maybe I could open a business. But I had never taken a marketing class in my life, not a marketing, no business classes, like nothing. And I had a friend at the time who owned a business, and she's like, well, I can, if you want, like you could work on some blog writing, maybe you could film some videos for me, do some social media work. And I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll do anything. I'm happy to do it and kind of figure out this as I go. And so anyway, she bought me a $9 ads course because I was broke as a joke. I didn't even have the $9 to buy this silly course. And she's like, if I buy you this ads course, would you run ads for my business? I'm like, 100%. So she bought me this ads course, and then I just dove headfirst into the world of ads. I absolutely loved it. I opened up actually kind of a custom woodworking business as well while I'm learning ads, and I started selling actually custom farmhouse tables. Again, I didn't know what I was doing. Yeah. I had never touched a saw in my life. I was crafty, but didn't. My husband's like, I can teach you. And I'm like, okay, sure. And so I opened a business. It took off. We loved the organic social side of things. But then I also really enjoyed running ads to sell these tables. I was making signs. It was kind of like the height of like the Joanna Gaines era, if you kind of follow that timeline of like where we were in history. Yeah. And so anyway, that business exploded. And then as I was making these tables and marketing them and selling them through ads, I was like, I really like this advertising thing, and I think that this might be a better path for me than. I was in Arizona at the time, and it was hot. It was hot, like 120 degrees. I'm in my workshop, like sawing, and I'm like, this is just miserable. So then we did a hard pivot, then full on into the world of ads, and here we are about 10 years later. And now, like I said, I've got a full team behind me that now helps run ads for all of our clients.
I love it. Oh my gosh. I think it's so funny to like the pivots that we make in life. And then like at the time when you're making them, it feels wild and scary. And then like, I don't know, as they stack up, it's like from middle school math to making tables to working with another entrepreneur to running an agency. Like it's wild. So
yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, lots of pivots. It's all about the pivots.
Right? I know, and leaning into it and what you like. And yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. I love it. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's talk about ads. I feel like we probably have a little mix in our audience of people who have like ran ads before or maybe been thinking about it or boosted a post, which we can talk about a little bit later, what that means. Mm-hmm. But I would love to know, what are some signs that a business is ready, even to just start, whether it's working with someone like you or to start dabbling in it themselves?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Great question. I love that you guys handle the organic side of things because that is 100% step one. It has to be there. That foundation organically has to be there. Otherwise, ads aren't going to work. What I tell my clients is that ads will simply grow whatever results are there. So if your website isn't converting traffic, if your product photography isn't there, ads are just going to show you real quick and really fast in an expensive way that you're not ready for it yet. So I do have a couple different indicators that really show me, like, is a brand there or are they not quite there yet? And that it's two things. One, we have to have an average order value that's high enough to support ads, because the expensive part is acquiring that customer. And if you can get them to come to your website and buy even more product from you, that's really where you're going to make that money back. So what I tell people is shoot for around $75 with that average order value. If we can get it around there, wonderful. I mean, I can still turn a profit for clients who are maybe closer to like 50, but the higher, the better. And we'll talk later on about kind of a couple tips and tricks to get that order value high enough. But that's number one. Shoot for $75. Know that there's some wiggle room on there, but that's ideally where we are. Awesome. Second thing is your conversion rate. So the rate at which people are coming to your website and then making a purchase, that has to be high enough too. I tell clients shoot for around a 2% conversion rate on your Shopify store. But again, if it's a little bit lower, do we have people who are at a 1.25 and ads are going great? Absolutely. Do we have people with a $50 average order value and it's going well? Absolutely. But kind of both of those things together, I just like people having kind of that benchmark in their head to know that if those two things are in place, there's a very good chance that ads are going to shake out for you.
Yeah. So would you say, in terms of, I know product business is your specialty, is it physical products, digital products, all the above? Or is it kind of the same in the ads world in terms of like some of those requirements regardless of what people sell?
Great question. Yeah, so our clients, most of them are physical product, but we do have clients that sell digital product. We also have clients who have like digital subscriptions. And so those benchmarks do differ based on your industry. Our specialty really is in the physical product, but I would say, okay, let's say somebody's listening and they've got a digital product. What I would say is make sure that you've got eyes on what your conversion rate is, that when you send traffic there, that it's going to convert for you. It's basically at the end of the day, is this a machine that you have proven organically? And if so, then green light to move forward with ads.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. So then what after the fact, what kind of makes that paid ad campaign successful?
Yeah. So lots of people are fixed on what the return on your ads is, which is extremely important. So when you jump in Ads Manager, it'll show you your number of purchases and your return on ad spend. And a lot of people will reach out and they'll be like, I have a 2 times return. Is that good or is that bad? I have a 4 times return. Is this bad? I don't really know. And before we even talk about like what a good and a bad return is, what I emphasize with people running ads is we have to know that they're profitable, because that return, whatever return is good or bad, that is all so subjective to the business that we're talking about. Because like with my clients, what we'll do is we'll run through a profitability exercise, because you need to know what your fixed expenses are, what those variable expenses are each month. You need to know, if your product, if you're selling it for $40 and it costs you $5 cost of goods, like those are all things that we need to take into account in order to understand if an ad is going to be profitable and kind of at what point it's profitable, I guess. So just kind of a little anecdotal story. I have a client who came to us several months ago, and in her ad account, she can get by with a 2 times return, and it's wildly profitable for her. Why? Because it costs her $2 and she sells her product for $40. That's why it's profitable. So a 2 times return, she can get by with that. Whereas I have some clients that we need a 6, a 7, or an 8 times return to know that she's making money. And so it's really it kind of goes back to, before you spend any money on ads, making sure that you have a good concept of what do you need in order to know that ads are going to be profitable. Because then from there, you can weigh the results that you're looking at and understand, okay, is a 2 times return breaking even for me, or do I really need a 4 times return to know that I'm making money?
Yeah, it comes down to the profitability of your products in the first place, which I'm sure a lot of people probably discover real fast, whether that's working for them or not.
All right, so yeah, it really boils down to understanding your profitability, and I just want to normalize it that if you don't know what your cost of goods are, exactly what your fixed expenses are each month, like what are you paying for each of your subscriptions, for example, that's really normal. Most brands come to me and they don't have that yet, or it feels like it's just really messy and it's a gray area. And so I just recommend to brands, like, get a good concept of that before you begin, and then you can go ahead and run ads, just so that you can understand when you're looking at that information, okay, do I need to see a 3 times return to know that this is working, or can I get by with a 1.5 times return? Because that's going to help you be a lot less stressed out when analyzing the information that you're seeing from Ads Manager.
I'm sure everything has changed right now too, with like tariffs and like the increase of cost of goods, and it's almost like now is probably a good time in general just to do that for your business.
Yeah, 100%. Right, because everybody's cost has changed a lot over the last year.
Yeah, especially for physical products, for sure. So are there certain products that are just naturally easier for you to run ads on, or do you feel like it's more of the marketing strategy behind it?
Yeah, great question. So the brands that I guess they'd be the ones that I find easiest. They're the brands that we run ads for, would be our children brands, our mother brands, our home decor. Really, honestly though, what it boils down to, like if I look at what does the mama baby brand have in common with the home decor brand, have in common with the subscription box, honestly at the end of the day, it boils down to a website that's aesthetically pleasing and converts traffic, and then also just making sure that you've got really nice product photography and video. I think you could sell just about anything. We also have worked with a good number of pet brands too, but really at the end of the day, they're just brands that are willing to invest in first the organic foundation and then having quality content that we can put ad spend behind.
Yeah. I can attest as a mom that the amount of things I buy on Instagram, it is,
Yeah, the influence is there.
Oh yeah, 1,000%. So I can absolutely see that. Okay, so what are some of the biggest mistakes that you see if maybe like you've hopped into someone's ad account or you like are hearing a story about someone else who's running ads? Like what are some of those big mistakes that people are kind of making, whether they run it themselves or with someone else?
Yeah, great question. So I audited over 100 ad accounts last year. That was kind of one of my big initiatives is let's get eyes on as many ad accounts as we can. So I did over 100 audits of business owners, and there are two things in common that happened over and over and over that have wasted thousands of dollars for each of the business owners that I looked at, up to thousands of dollars. First, don't boost. Do not boost a post. It is just the biggest waste of money. It is the biggest, it's the biggest lie that Meta serves us that says, oh, why don't you just click this promote button and we'll serve it to thousands of people. That's really enticing, right? But there's a couple different issues with that. When we boost, we don't have control to know, okay, did that image, was that just like not catchy and it flopped because I wasn't able to compare it against anything else, right? You can't compare it out there. So you just throw it out into thin air and hope that Meta finds the right people, but we have no way of optimizing that and knowing that it's actually going to work. Another thing too is that Meta these days puts on a 30% charge on top of it. So every time you're clicking and let's say you boost it for $50, they're charging you an extra 30%. It's just like a complete waste of money. And we can even see in Ads Manager, you see that post pulled in and they flop time over time. And the other biggest mistake that I see made is people running traffic ads. I hear a lot of noise out there about just running traffic ads. I just have a traffic problem. I just need more traffic to the site. And it's like, yes, you need more traffic, but it has to be traffic that has the intent of buying. And when we go ahead and we just run ads for traffic, you're going to get what we like to call the clickers. And because Meta is going to do exactly what you say. If you're saying, hey, like run this as a traffic ad, get as many clicks as cheap as possible, it'll do exactly that. But they're not people that ever had the intent of buying, which is the problem. So do not run a traffic ad. Stay clear of that campaign type. There are some niches where I've seen it work before, but for whether it's a physical product or a digital product, we're going to go all the way with a purchase ad. You're going to skip the traffic campaign because you're going to get cheap clicks that do nothing. They're just going to sit on your site and then leave.
Yeah, I believe that even from like most of the ads that we've run even for our business have been like free email. It's email conversion is basically what we're looking for. Yeah. And yeah, there have been plenty of times where it's like difficult to get an email, and then we have this chat around like, is it even worth it to do a traffic ad? Because it's like, again, you have no conversion metrics to even like look at of like, did they actually do anything? Did they mean to do anything? Like, and again, they're going to optimize for those clicks, not for the actual people that care, you know?
Right, exactly. And what you can do is, so I said, always go for the purchase. It's purchase or go for the lead. So like if you guys are running an ad for a lead magnet, just go ahead and optimize for the email sign up itself. And then you'll be able to see that data. You can, so like if you were to open up your ad account and look at that traffic campaign you would have run, you can actually see, if you set up some custom columns, you can see how many people ended up signing up. But I guarantee that you guys will be like, oh, like, yeah, we had 6,000 people click over, but we only had a couple signups. So you can, but you've got to kind of, it's like traffic makes you go and dig for the answer as to like, did it work or did it not? And you'll find that you probably brought a bunch of clickers, but they didn't actually take action.
Yeah, right. Okay, out of curiosity, this is off script here, but I'm curious, do you guys run ads for yourself? Like for your own agency, or are you in it so much for your clients that you're like, no?
Right. Yeah. So running 24/7 in the background, I typically have a lead generation ad that's running. So yeah, and I could, like, I've got some ads queued up if we wanted to bring in, and sorry, by lead generation, they're just there to join my email list, where they then enter into a sequence where I say, hey, here's this course, or hey, I do troubleshooting calls, you should join us. So that's just running continually in the background. It's a great lead generator as far as just brand exposure. We get a lot of people who reach out and say, hey, I saw your ad, can we chat? And sometimes we'll do ads to actually bring in clients, but right now we're not in need of. Those are more expensive to run, the ones to like actually get in front of ideal clients to join the agency. So we don't need those on right now just because our pipeline's full enough. And I really love, so I have those running. I'd have to check. I mean, honestly, lead generation ads for anybody listening, if you know that someone who's coming in through a certain freebie will end up buying your service or your product after, there's such a great investment to make. This is crazy to say because we manage dozens of client accounts and we watch their ads every day, but honestly, I have them running for my own business and I haven't looked at them in weeks and weeks and weeks. Well, quick look and just say, does the cost per lead still make sense? Yes, it does. Okay, great. And I leave. And so like lead gen, that is your great entry place as far as ads go, because nothing is set it and forget it, but I'm telling you, as the business owner who's bringing in millions for her clients, I am just setting and forgetting my old lead gen because that's how easy and really on autopilot those particular ads can run. That's not the same for an ad for a purchase, but the lead gen, they hum along quite well once you figure out which ads are working.
Yeah, and then I'd say like you have a good strategy on the back end of like how to nurture them. Like I think that's the big thing too, right? Of like what's the point of running it if you're not currently nurturing your audience, if you don't have a strong email list or a newsletter or a course or a funnel or whatever. And I think like that's where the power is like post that, then it works.
Absolutely. And that's what I tell my clients too. Like, hey, I can bring people to your webinar, I can bring people to your email list, but you've got to know that like this is going to be something that will convert through probably the email marketing that you're up to after.
Yeah, I love that. That's awesome. Yeah. Okay, so budget. Let's talk about like how much people have to spend. I think that's something that maybe people are, I kind of think people want to spend as little as possible and have the biggest return. So I guess is there like a point, right? We all do. Like we all want to get a deal and thrift our own ads. But is there like a point of like, okay, you have to spend at least this much to be not guaranteed. I don't want to say that, but is there like a threshold that you're like, you should fall within here?
Yep, absolutely. So it'll differ depending on what your end goal is. So for lead generation, you can get by on $10 a day. You could even get by on $8 a day or so. And those would be ads to grow your email list or ads for a webinar or something like that. Because they're just affordable to run. We can get email signups we've got a client running them at 34 cents each right now. And so like you can do the math on like, okay, if they're coming in at 34 cents, how many can I get for $10 a day? And you can kind of just figure out what you want your budget to be based on how much growth you want. Now ads for selling a product, that is different because that's a bigger ask, right? We're not just asking for an email address. We're asking for someone to come check out your brand for the first time, go make a purchase on your website. For that, I like sitting around the $40, $50 a day mark minimum and then scaling up from there. What happens if you cut that in half and you're like, nah, I'm going to go for $20 a day? What will happen is you're not going to get enough purchases coming in for Meta to understand what is a purchase. And if Meta doesn't have enough conversions in a week's time, basically it'll start stalling. You will start like losing at the auction. So your ad goes to auction, goes out to battle against all the other ads managers or companies that are running ads. And if Meta's saying like, hey, like they're only getting a purchase every few days, you're going to start losing ranking and then your ad will tank and you're basically wasting your money. So we have to have it high enough that we're getting enough purchases in for you to kind of keep up the pace. So we need to be seeing, multiple purchases a day coming in from a campaign.
Interesting. Okay, so what has happened? I also feel like there's a little bit of like just a peek behind the curtain of like, what is your team doing? So because that's something that I think a lot of times, anyone who's stepped in Meta knows it's confusing as heck. Like, unless you're in there all the time, they don't make that system easy. So I know a lot of times people are like jumping in and trying to run ads themselves or boosting posts or doing maybe some of the mistakes that they shouldn't be. But I also think it's so valuable to hear like the other side of it. Like what's happening when someone manages your ad? Like what is it that your team is doing behind the scenes?
Right. Great question. I love it. Nobody's ever asked me that on a podcast before, but I love chatting about it. So, yeah, what is our team doing? Oh my gosh. Okay, so we're looking at our clients' ads every day. First thing. Second, what we're doing when we look at them, we're figuring out exactly where the bottleneck is. And I think that's one thing when people are trying to DIY, that's really the mystery is like, is it working? Is it not? Is it good? Is it underperforming? And so we're going in and my team, we're data nerds like through and through. I used to be a math teacher, so like this stuff just lights me up. So I will come in with our ads managers if they are having a hard time figuring it out, and we will dissect where's there an issue? Because we can look at the rate at which people are seeing an ad and clicking the website, then clicking the website and adding to cart, initiating checkout, and then purchasing. And we can see exactly where there's a bottleneck because the data tells a story. It's not just like, oh, this ad tanked or it didn't. Okay, let's try something new. It's like, it tanked why? why? Like, what's the issue? Was it, we can tell based on the metrics, like, was it the creative? Was that like just too poor and people weren't resonating? And okay, was it the copy that was used or the image or the video? And we can see that. The data will show us that. And maybe it has nothing to do with the ad. The ad's great, but maybe we see there's a huge drop off. People are landing and they're not adding to cart. We have like certain ratios of people that we like to see who are landing and then adding to cart. And if that's off, then we can say, okay, so we're going then to our client and we're saying, hey client, all these people we can see they're resonating with the ad. We're watching the rate at which they're clicking through, but they're coming and they're not adding to cart. Do we need to look at, do we have enough reviews on this product page? Is it confusing? Does the product title and description not match what we're talking about in the ad? Have we not done a clear enough job describing what makes your product different than a competitor that they could find on Amazon, for example? And so really we're partners with our clients, just troubleshooting and figuring this out in real time for them. So we're doing ad audits, but then we're doing website audits, as you can kind of tell from this. Like, this is kind of a constant conversation we're having with our client. If things are humming along and doing well, what we're up to is brainstorming new creative concepts that we haven't yet tried. We've got a designer on our team, so we'll be connecting with her and making sure that, we're kind of keeping 2 steps ahead. So like, if you have an upcoming promotion in May, we're getting that over to our designer in March so that we know that we're going to have all that creative to our clients in time for their upcoming promotion. So yeah, that's a little peek at what we're up to over here.
I know. I mean, just even looking at the ads every day, like, I can't, like, no, that's not something that business owners have time to do, like,
of course not.
Just being able to see that, and especially knowing, like you said, I didn't know anything about you going to auction, and like, if you're not monitoring the daily sales and like it's not working, then yeah, like looking at it once a week is not going to be enough.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, so you talked a little bit about creative and how your team is kind of doing that. Do you have any tips on like whether it's from the conversion, like the landing page standpoint, or from the actual ad creative? Like, what tends to work best?
Yeah, so I'd say my biggest tip for anybody who's looking to DIY this is, when you do set your ads live, make sure you have about 5 ads somewhere. You can plus or minus a couple on either end, but we need a handful of ads running, and I want them to all look so very different from one another. We don't just want like an image of your product and another image of your product and another image of your product. I want those ads to be different, and that's really what we're seeing doing extremely well for our client accounts these days. Is the algorithm is just feeding off of, if you see an ad for a brand and you see another ad later, you don't want it to look the same, because your eyes are going to get glassy and you're going to be like, oh yeah, I saw that ad, I know that brand, I'm moving on. But if you saw first like an image, a still image of an ad, but then later in the day you're scrolling Instagram and they hit you again, and oh, this is like an unboxing video of the product, you're going to be like, ooh, like what, this has caught my eye. Oh, okay, so we got you again. And then, a third ad could be a testimonial from someone, a video playing in the background with a testimonial on top. And so those are just 3 examples of like, 3 very different ads. And so when we do launch for any clients, we've got about 5 ads that we're running, and we just want them to be just really varied visually. One thing that I think brands miss the mark on when they do try to DIY ads is we also want to make sure that we can really envision ourselves in the ad. So, let's say you sell, let's say you're selling jackets. You can have a picture of the jacket hanging up, something cute and moody, that's fine. But like, as a consumer, I also want to see, what does it look like when someone puts it on, styles it, does a 360. It's like, you really want to get in the mindset of whoever's looking to buy this product. Even if it's like a digital product, you can think about that too. Like, think about, what is the headspace of the person who's seeing the ad right now, and then what will it be after they have your product, and really just kind of painting the situation where they can actually see themselves in your ad and see that transformation for themselves. So that's kind of something that we really focus on when we're doing our creative.
Yeah. Do you find that typically photography, like, versus designed creative, tends to work better, or do you like to do a mix of both?
Great question. We can make do with just about anything. Like, I had a client who we brought her on within the last couple months, and she was really embarrassed because all she had to start with were her iPhone photos. Those have outperformed her professional studio shots. I'm like, do not sweat it. She's like, don't use these, they're so cringe. And I'm like, but they're not, and they're doing really well. And so I wouldn't, don't let the fact that maybe if you haven't had a photo shoot of your recent product or whatever it might be, that's okay. You can really make do with anything. And it depends on the brand as far as like how curated you want that to look. So we'll try to do a mix for our clients. So we've got some where, very minimal, especially on stories. I do love just a very minimal text overlay. If just like minimal captions on top or just not super loud and graphic-y in your face, that tends to work well. Like if I had to choose, if you held me to it right now, like what's the one thing that's working? I guess a little bit less style and designed compared to a few years ago. But again, we'll test it for each of the clients just to see what their particular audience resonates with.
Yeah. What about video versus static? I feel like that's a really big thing, especially on Instagram lately, where people, reels were big, videos were big, and now it feels like we're going back to carousels.
Right. Yep. So for our clients too, we will launch image, video, carousel, catalog. Those are 4 different ads just automatically. We will test through and through. Catalog ads seem to be just like they're having a huge moment for all of our clients. They really have for a few months. So if you haven't run a catalog ad before, basically Meta will go to your site and it'll say, what are all the products that you have? And it will kind of show it, and it'll look like a carousel. To the plain eye, it'll look like a carousel of just swiping through. But those, that is crushing it. Every single one of our client accounts right now has a catalog ad running, and it's one of their top performing ads.
Wild. I as a consumer, I definitely navigate those all the time, like from some of my favorite like clothing shops, and I'll swipe through, find an outfit I like, click on those, and that's how you start shopping. Like, right. And it is like you said, it's just, I'm sure they're fairly easy to run from a creative standpoint because it's just pulling the content you already have. Yeah.
You could get that up in like 10 minutes, even not knowing what you're doing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So what platforms do you focus on? I think you mentioned this at the beginning, but I'd be super curious if there's like, if you have a recommendation on where people should start, like whether it's like Meta, TikTok, Pinterest. Like, I don't know if you guys touch that at all, but I'm curious of like, what are all the different kind of places to think about running ads and maybe where the best one to start is?
Yeah, great question. So we run Instagram and Facebook. So that's just kind of one. We'll just call it Meta. And we also do Google, which because they own YouTube, you can do Google. YouTube is also like a second beast. And then TikTok is the third that we specialize in as well. So most of our clients will start on Meta and then layer in Google. There are times where we would recommend starting with Google. And I feel like, Abby, like you guys would be the perfect people to be able to show clients, if they've got a really strong Google organic presence, like all the way, I would start on Google. And so we'll always take a peek at the back end of people's websites and see where's most of your traffic coming in from right now. If we can see a really high rate at which people are converting into purchasers or even just coming at a really great rate, then we would probably start them over on Google. But if not, then we'll start on Meta. Most of our clients do start on Meta, but like, for example, I had a discovery call with someone this week and I was like, 90% of your traffic is coming from Google organic and they're crushing it. So like that is clearly where we're starting because the demand's there organically. Now, what I like to tell people is all of these ad platforms, they hit different parts of kind of like the buyer journey, their life cycle. So on Google, that's going to be your really hot, warm leads. Why? Well, they're jumping into Google and they're searching, for example, you're searching Facebook and Instagram ad agency. Okay, so you're a warm lead, like you're looking for that. Whereas like I could find you, for example, over on Meta and I can run ads, like I said, to like bring in leads into my business. But that's that gentle nudge, right? Like they're not actively looking for me over on Meta in the same way that they're, even like think Google shopping. That pops off. I mean, those, you can do some real damage over on Google shopping ads. They're run through a Performance Max. Not that matters, but on Meta, what we're doing is we're just like that gentle nudge. Like, hey, did you know that we generated $14 million for our clients last year? Oh, hey, take a look at what I'm doing. Oh, hey, take a look at what I'm doing. It's kind of like just like a soft, gentle like nudge. Like, look at this, look at this, look at this. Whereas Google, people are coming and they're hot and warm already. So that's kind of that differentiator. However, they play together so nicely, right? So like we can plant the seed over on Meta. We can find all these new people who didn't know about your brand And then what we're doing is we're sealing the deal by showing them also and kind of retargeting them essentially through Google. We'll retarget on Meta too.
Can you do that, retarget cross-platform?
Yeah, so it depends how you look at it, but essentially, yes. So what we're doing is we'll run ads over on Instagram, Facebook, and then people will head on over to the site. And then what they're going to do later is they're going to probably pop on over to Google. They're like, oh yeah, who's that brand for that kid subscription box that I saw? They'll jump in. And then from there, the Google ads, of course, can hit them on Google, but then we can follow them on other people's websites through Google. We can hit them up in their Gmail, like in their inbox. And so there really is I'd say a lot of the traffic that we are driving primarily from Instagram and Facebook, then they get caught by our Google ads as well. So they play together really nicely.
Yeah. I think that's something that just from my past life in an agency, like we worked with vendors all the time who would, you'd cross from apps to Google to banners on websites, and like you can follow a singular person. But I also think that without that experience working at the agency and running campaigns like that, I would have no idea that capability is even there, which is, right. It's like, it is creepy, right? From a human standpoint, but it's also so powerful from a marketing standpoint of like, you're targeting a person. You're not targeting these like bulleted metrics, which is kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Marketers will love it. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Okay, well, is there anything else that I kind of haven't hit on? I guess maybe not to put you on the spot, but I'm curious, what are some of the most interesting problems maybe that someone has brought to you of like, here's like a campaign I want to run or a problem I want to solve that you guys ran ads for, maybe like a quick client example or an industry example that comes to mind of like a favorite case study,
Favorite case study, yeah.
I know I'm putting you on the spot right now.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. I like it. Gosh, I have so many. All right, so we had a client come to us this past August, and they were doing about 15,000 or so a month organically, and their site looked pretty. They had some nice photos, and they came to me and they had this goal. They were like, hey, we'd really like to get to $100,000 within the next couple months. And I was like, okay, like deep breath, like these women are a little bit delusional, but like so are we. Like we help these crazy dreamers who do want to go from 15K to 100K real fast. And so basically what we did, and kind of my recommendation for brands who are in a similar place, is we went back, just like I said at the beginning of this chat that we've had, we went back to look at their conversion rate and their order value. Everything looked okay, but there are always a few minor tweaks and changes that we can do to basically help them increase their order value was the first thing. Because they sold this product and it was, like a 30-ish, 25-ish dollar product. And I was like, hey, could we put together a strategic bundle so that people are now spending $50, $55, $60? And sure enough, just that little change alone, helps with every order that's coming through. If you're increasing it by, that small margin, that really pays off. We also then took a look at their website, and again, just minor tweaks. Do we have enough reviews? Are we being clear about like, why are people buying? This is a company that sells basically patches to help with like wrinkles and fine lines that you have. And I was like, well, why your product over others? Like, well, it's natural, organic, cruelty-free, vegan. And I was like, okay, a lot of these brands aren't, and they're full of like all these chemicals and toxins. Like, let's talk about that, because that's really your differentiator. So we helped them with a couple different tweaks like that on their site, and we were successfully able to grow them from that like under $20,000 mark to 100K in about 2 months. And now they're on their way to a 200K month. And I mean, this is a brand that's been in business for less than a year. So I think that just goes to show, if you are making those strategic moves to help set yourself up organically for success, ads can really grow that. And I have, Abby, for any of your listeners that want it, I've got a couple different resources that basically they go really in line with the story that I just told. I've got one free video tutorial that your listeners are welcome to that will basically walk through a website audit in real time. So you can see what are those things that I'm thinking of from an ads perspective. There's a couple apps that we recommend that are free or low cost that will really help increase that order value and that conversion rate. So I really recommend that for anybody who's like, okay, yeah, how do I know that my site is ads ready, essentially. And then I've got another video tutorial as well for anybody who is DIYing it. Maybe you've tried boosting and it hasn't worked, or you've tried running your own traffic ads, or any kind of ads and they haven't worked, I have essentially what I call a how to set up your first money-making ad. So I've got a free 5-minute tutorial for them on basically what buttons can you ignore, which ones do you need to pay attention to, because like you said, every time you jump in Ads Manager, there are new bells and whistles. And in fact, my tutorial needs to be re-recorded because there was an update like yesterday afternoon. And so anyway, I just kind of walk you through what is that streamlined setup that you need that we have for every single one of the client accounts that we run ads for.
Awesome. Okay, one more question for you that just kind of popped into my brain. Is there anything in the AI world that's kind of popping up? Like I'm seeing things all the time of like ChatGPT ads. Like, do you see that stuff kind of flowing into your guys' workflow, or is it still so new that it's like no one's really tested it yet?
Yeah, great question. So yes and yes. We use AI absolutely with our client accounts, but we use it very I don't see it replacing. Some people will ask me, like, do you think it's going to like replace you or do your job? Because you'll log into Meta and it'll be like, here is, I don't know, there's a new one that just popped up. I can't even remember the name of it, but like, here is chat, and chat is going to answer any questions and going to tell you what moves to make and where to turn up ad spend and where to turn it down. And I found that it is not, I just wouldn't trust it. I always say, like, use a really discerning eye, whether you're using chat to help you with ad copy or creative or looking at the recommendations that's giving you. I have found that it does not replace that human element at all. And someone asked me the other day, like, do you think you're going to lose your clients because there's this new, Meta chat agent? I'm like, 100%
those
not.
Questions.
Yeah. I'm like, no, I'm like, I'm literally, I am not worried for a moment, because that chat agent isn't going to hop on over to your site to help you figure out what isn't working. That's going to make your ads work better. And, there's templated responses that all of us use in our businesses in different ways. And that's kind of what these chatbots are doing. But ways that we are using AI in our business, well, we will use it if we need some help with maybe like getting in the headspace of, like, we've got a client that sells horse food. I'm not a horse person. The equestrian world isn't my world. And that was extremely helpful for me to talk to chat and just kind of have it brief me on, like, where are these stable companies or professional riders, like, where are they at? Again, like, headspace wise, what are they struggling with? What do their horses need? And kind of just using it for the brainstorming process, but it's never going to replace my brain doing the work, if that makes sense. We kind of use it to like assist with what we're doing. It doesn't replace what we do.
Oh, 1,000%. I think I've talked about this time and time again too, even from a keyword research standpoint for SEO. It's like you can ask any AI tool, like, what are good keywords to go after for my business? Here's a little bit about me. And half the time it spits out the keywords. I'll go take those keywords, actually put them in a research tool, and they get no volume. And it's like, it can help you brainstorm, but it can't help you. It's not going to be the strategic arm of your business.
Yes, exactly. And you saying that reminded me of a conversation I had recently with somebody in my DMs, and they were like, well, they were like, I was running ads and I followed kind of like what you teach, and then they slowed down. So I talked to chat, and chat told me X, Y, Z, and my jaw hit the floor. I'm like, tell chat to zip its mouth, because that it was so wrong and so off. I'm like, that's terrifying to know that, like, people are going to chat for these, like you said, the strategic moves. You're like, no. This is literally a robot that doesn't exist. It does not know strategy. And the recommendations were horrible.
Oh, yeah. And I
it'll
think
tell you so confidently, right?
Right? It is. No. It's so confident, and it makes you feel like you're confident too. Right. And I think, like, it can't replace years and, hundreds of campaigns ran, and like no tool can replace that kind of knowledge and strategy that you've hands-on done. Yeah.
Right.
But yes, I do love those questions. Do you think your job is going to go away? And it's like, no. It is not. If anything, it's going to make it stronger, because people are going to do those things and then realize that it's not solving their problems.
Yeah, that, and I think too, I was talking with my husband about this the other night. It's like, I think the people that can figure out how to use AI strategically to help enhance their skill set, that's where the future is going. Like, I don't think the answer is like, shut it all down and we don't use it. And I don't think the answer is like, use it instead of your brain. It's like in the middle. It's like, how can I use this to enhance what I'm making for my clients. That's, I think, where the real power is for like marketing professionals.
1,000%. Yeah. That's why we say it's our intern. It's our intern, not
Right.
not something that is going, like, ultimately you can't hand off an entire role to it. It can help you be a little bit faster, but at the end of the day, yeah, still needs a lot of oversight and hand holding.
Right.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, is there anything else you want to leave our audience with? Any last minute thoughts if someone's thinking of running their first campaign, maybe?
Yeah. If somebody's looking to run their first campaign, shoot me a DM. More than happy to chat. I'm always there in the DMs answering questions about, hey, this, I tried this and it didn't work. What might have happened? Reach out, because I'd be happy to take a peek. I offer complimentary website audits where I'll just go in. I'm not going to do a full blown audit for you, but I will just let you know. Again, I'll collect some of those kind of key indicators from you and let you know, like, are you ready and on your way? So that's kind of thing number one. And the second thing is, again, look at that conversion rate. I want that to be around that 2%. Can be a little bit under, but around 2%, and then have that order value be around $75 or so. That's really going to show you that you're on your way. And then also make sure that you've got some image and video assets. That's the other thing. And again, you don't need a professional shoot. You don't have to partner with a content creator, which would be awesome, but you don't have to. Some of our brands don't work with content creators at all, and you can shoot with your iPhone is just fine. So just make sure that you've got kind of those pieces in place so that when you jump into Ads Manager, you're ready to go. You're not just kind of sitting there and figuring out, kind of thinking through what are the things that I don't have that I still need.
Yeah. Okay, where can everyone go to find you? We'll make sure all of these links, including those two video resources, are in the show notes for people. But what is your Instagram handle, website, all the things so that people can come find you?
Yeah, for sure. My website is adsuncorked.com. That's ADS, adsuncorked.com. And then I'm over on Instagram and Facebook at Ads Uncorked as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and experience in this space. I know people are going to love it. So we did.
Thank you for having me.
It's time for a refill. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Duo on Air.
If you loved hanging out with us today, here are 3 quick ways to support the show. 1, subscribe so you never miss a new episode.
2, share this episode with a biz bestie and tag us on Instagram at duo.collective.
And 3, leave a review because we love hearing from you.
Finally, keep sharing your episode ideas. We love creating content for you. Head over to duocollective.com to catch up on all the latest episodes, brand and website makeovers, SEO tips, and so much more.
See you there. Let's duo this thing called business together.